right? It's illegal and it's unconstitutional. What we've seen in Chicago, 32% reduction in homicides, a nearly 40% reduction in.
Folks, right there, that's where you know this man's a fraud. First of all, there's so much wrong with this whole entire video. Look at the people in the background. They do not care what's going on. This is a serious situation. This man just asked him, what do he think about DC being zero free homicides? And what do you think about that coming to Chicago? That should be a no-brainer, folks. Why would you start talking about the numbers going down when we talking about zero? Look at just pay attention to this. Look at this fraud.
Shootings and shooting victims. Robberies are down, carjackings are down, violent crime is down. Just like what is happening in cities like Baltimore and Birmingham, Oakland, Los Angeles. Here's a better question. What should President Trump and the federal government do to ensure that the success that we are having continues?
How is that a better question than, don't you think DC was the blueprint of how to stop violent crime? Zero crime in almost 2 weeks. And he said a better question is, how can he help him fund the money-making, money laundering scam that they running as Democrats to keep money in their pocket off our victimhoods, off our loss of lives. This is the craziest thing in the world, fam. How is that a better question?
That's what we're asking the federal government, to actually invest in our cities. If we actually do that, we'll continue to see the type of positive trends that we're experiencing.
But is he correct that crime has gone down with the National Guard in D.C.? And what do you think about his timeline of no crime in Chicago after a week if the Guard comes here?
Look, crime is my top priority. It's what I think about every single day when I wake up and before I go to bed. We're working in a collective way.
Crime is his priority. He think about it every time he wake up with 1,000 police outside of his house, and every time he go to bed with 1,000 police outside of his house. Crime is not your priority. You're good, sir. Your family's good. They're in good schools. They got security. They got top flight rolling with them all the time. Armed, ready. Crime is not an issue to you or anybody that's in that background. They keep keying and ha-haing. And you keep voting these people in. They live out next to the people who they talking about, who they want to tax, who they hate. Pritzker rich as hell. Look up his family bloodline. They all about their own generational wealth, folks.
To drive violence down in Chicago. The reason why we are experiencing the positive trends that we are experiencing right now is because we're doing the things that work. If Trump and the federal government is actually serious about driving violence down in the city of Chicago, why would he withhold over $800 million for violence prevention? Why?
See, with him, it's about the money. They want that money so they can spread it with them and keep crime going. They don't care. Trump said, I'm bringing in the National Guard. I'm not going to play. We're getting this down to zero. We're not going to spend more money to stop these violent criminals from doing violent stuff and hurting other people and themselves. He's worried about the money. Everything comes down to the money with him.
Why would he take away Medicaid? Why would he take away SNAP? Why is he defunding public education? Why isn't he building more affordable homes?
And all of this is a lie. This man bankrupt Chicago. Our public school system is total shambles. Layoffs and everything is happening more and more. Like, it's the worst. Property taxes going off. Things he said he wasn't going to run off on. All the money to illegals. that big mishap, that big disaster. Getting the land over there, trying to put the legals over there, find out the land is tainted. So they sued the city. We lost money on that. We never made a profit off of that. We've been taking a loss since they came. And this dude is still in office. It's all y'all fault, man. I blame the voters.
So we're going to do the things that are working here, just like what we've committed to doing. And so far, we're obviously moving in the right direction. More work to be done, but that work is certainly working.
Hey, Mayor.
Hey.
The president cited black women in red hats to back up his threats. That seemed like a reference to the group that often speaks during city council meetings during public comment. What do you think about how that group has apparently drawn the White House's attention and how it's being used as a pretext to crack down here on Chicago?
Look, here's what I'm paying attention to.
You better watch your mouth when you talk about them ladies. That's all I got to say. You better be careful, smart man. You better tap dance.
Attention to the things that are actually working, right? I'm paying attention to the 31,119 young people that have summer jobs. We're paying attention to the 4,000 affordable homes that we've built, and we're on pace to build 10,000. I'm paying attention to the work that we're doing to provide mental health support services. I'm paying attention to how we're going to actually make sure that working people can thrive in this city. The reason why we're experiencing the positive trends is because we're actually doing the work that works. That's the most important thing to note here. As we continue to invest in communities that have been historically disinvested in, that's how we drive violence down. The federal government has a responsibility to do its part by funding education, funding Medicaid, funding SNAP, supporting our veterans. That's the work that the federal government should do. That's what we're calling for in Chicago and in cities across the.
So basically, the federal government should keep you dependent, keep you waiting on housing, waiting on food, and waiting on medical. That's his alternative than stopping crime and getting things back to normal. He's worried about keeping black folks connected and stuck to the government. That's the Democrat whole MO. If y'all don't see that, I don't know what's going on. He's worried about not stopping crime, but link cards, Medicaid, and Section 8. He wants you to be dependent on that. So if the government stop that, they bad. They want you to be independent. They bad. They wrong for that. Man, this is crazy, man.
America.
What do you hear from black Chicagoans, and do you think those people who he apparently cited speak for the community?
Well, look, here's what I do know of someone who lives on the west side of Chicago. We want investment. We want investment. That's why we put forth a $1.25 billion economic development plan. That's investment.
See, he's all fluff. And I can't see how y'all fall for this. First of all, he's screaming that he's on the west side with 1,000 police outside of your house. Stop saying that. And then that $1 billion that you invested, that's on a West Loop area. That's over there by where the Bulls play at, the West Loop. We got the little scraggles, and that's going to the immigrants. Stop saying that you from the west side when you got a precinct outside of your house. That shit sounds stupid as hell, sir. I'm sorry. And y'all keep letting them get away with this shit. I know y'all get mad at me because I don't vote and all that shit, but I don't want to hear that shit. Because I don't vote, but I can get mad at y'all because look who y'all vote for. A total clown. A buffoon. Like I said, it's so hard to watch this video. I can't even finish the video, folks. It's the dumbest thing. He asked him one question and he started talking about everything besides answering the question. Isn't DC better since he made that move with the military? It's been 0 homicides in a violent city. The nation capital has been cleaned up. It's safe to go walk around there. He asked him, is that what Chicago needs? And is that a great idea? And you see how it worked. And he said, I got a better question. What about you funding um, our program? See, and that's the problem, folks. And that's what I want to break down right now. Um, Make sure y'all tap in with me too. For all those watching, this is Fish and Spaghetti podcast. We on YouTube. Got to be the only one, Fish and Spaghetti. You know, YouTube, straight Chicago Midwest show. Give you the real. And in Chicago, it feels like crime. I guess it always been a business, but it's a bad business now. It's bad business. Before Chicago was uh, what you can call organized crime. So even though you know we had our crime, it was organized. I'm talking about way back in the 20s. So now these politicians and preachers, they don't know the Chicago code. So now you got these organizations, groups like BLM, all getting funded, attention, influence every time that a tragedy happened. They popping up. Uh, uh, it's a lot of jobs for that, and the jobs and platforms, if they disappear, a lot of money go away for these politicians. A lot of their fame for these politicians. So basically, if you stop the funding, which it's all they worried about, the funding. If you stop the funding of these organizations, these preachers, these politicians, they don't get money. They don't get rich. You feel me?